Have you ever driven past one of those massive construction sites? A new skyscraper, a giant bridge, a stadium, and just wondered, what's the secret sauce? What makes one project a roaring success while another one just fails spectacularly? Well, you'd be surprised. The answer isn't always in the steel or the concrete. It's hidden somewhere else entirely.
And that is the multi-billion-dollar question, right? We see the headlines all the time. Huge cost overruns, crazy delays. Sometimes the whole thing just grinds to a halt. So what is it? Is it bad engineering, a terrible plan, not enough cash? Sure, all those things can be factors, but that's right. More often than not, the real story, the source of all that success or failure, is locked away inside the project's contract. It is the unseen blueprint that quietly dictates everything. So today, we're going to take a journey through the life of a massive project. But we're not going to look at it from an engineer's perspective. Nope. We're looking at it through the lens of its most important document. We'll see how it's born, how it keeps things running smoothly, what happens when things go wrong, and finally, how it guides everyone across that finish line. All right, first things first, we have to understand what a contract really is, because it's so much more than just a stack of paper with some signatures. It's the absolute bedrock of the entire project. There's this ancient legal principle, a Latin phrase, that sums it all up, pacta sunt servanda. It literally means agreements must be kept. And that's not just a nice idea, it's a foundational legal concept. It means that when you freely agree to something, that agreement has the force of law for everyone involved. In fact, our source material puts it beautifully with this line: the contract is law between the parties. Just let that sink in for a second. That document creates a private set of laws that are just as powerful and just as enforceable as any real law on the books, but only for the people who signed it. So what does that look like in the real world? Well, the contract basically does four big things. 1, it becomes the official rulebook everyone agrees to follow. 2, it forges a legally protected bond between them. 3, it gives everyone the economic security to actually start spending money and doing the work. And maybe the coolest part, it's an expression of free will. It's people coming together and saying, hey, let's create our own rules for this thing we're building together. Okay, so if a contract is basically a private law, then the big question becomes, how in the world do you write one that actually sets you up to win, especially before a single shovel even touches the dirt? Well, it all boils down to two things: insane foresight and meticulous documentation. A great contract isn't just written, it's engineered. It's built on a foundation of incredibly detailed planning. And before you can even think about writing that contract, you need these three foundational documents. First up, the scope statement. This basically answers, what are we actually building? And you have to be crystal clear. Second, the project plan. This answers the how. It's the whole roadmap of activities, resources, and timelines. And third, and this might just be the most critical piece, the risk register. This is where you sit down and brainstorm everything, literally everything that could possibly go wrong. That risk register then kicks off a whole process. You systematically go through every single party and every single clause to identify potential risks. Things like delays or supply chain problems. Then you have to figure out the odds of each risk happening and how bad the damage would be. Only then, once you've done all that homework, can you start writing strategies right into the contract to deal with those problems before they blow up. And get this, technology is totally changing the game here. Building information modeling, or BIM, lets you build a perfect 3D digital twin of the project first so you can catch errors before they cost millions. You've got smart contracts on the blockchain that can automatically release payments the second a job is verified. AI is sifting through mountains of data to predict failures, and the Internet of Things, or IoT, is putting sensors everywhere to monitor the project's health in real time. It's taking so much of the guesswork out of it. Okay, deep breath. The contract is signed. The plans are perfect. Now the fun begins. How does that document, sitting in a file somewhere, actually keep a multi-billion-dollar project from flying off the rails? The whole secret comes down to understanding two very different ideas: monitoring and control. Think of it like this. Monitoring is watching the speedometer. It's the passive act of just tracking your progress against the plan. Control, on the other hand, is what you do when you see you're going too fast or too slow. It's hitting the gas of the brakes, the active, corrective stuff, to get the project back on track. You absolutely need both. And what powers both of those? You guessed it, communication. It sounds so basic, right? But on these huge projects, it is the absolute lifeblood. You need constant, clear communication with your team, your clients, your investors, everyone. Why? Because clarity stops expensive mistakes before they start. Regular meetings keep everyone in the loop. And most importantly, you have to jump on problems the second they pop up. That's how you stop a tiny issue from turning into a full-blown crisis. But life happens. No matter how perfectly you plan, sometimes trouble finds you. So what happens when somebody doesn't hold up their end of the deal? Well, this is where that contract really shows its teeth. So what are the usual suspects when it comes to breaking a contract? Well, take a look. The number one offender, by a long shot, is delays. A whopping 40% of breaches are just things not getting done on time. After that, you've got poor quality work and then failing to follow the specific plans in the contract. Now, when one of those breaches happens, it can lead to something called a claim. And a claim isn't just someone complaining. No, it's a formal legal action. It's one party officially saying, you violated our agreement, it caused us damages, and now we need to make it right. It's the first official step to solving a big problem. And there's a very clear playbook for this. First, you have to pinpoint the exact breach. Then, you gather all your evidence, documents, photos, daily reports, everything. Step 3 is the big one. You have to quantify the impact. How much money did this cost you? How much time was lost? You have to put a number on it. Only then do you package it all up, send it over, and start negotiating a solution, all by using the rules you both already agreed to in the contract. So let's fast forward. You've navigated the storms, the building is standing tall, the finish line is right there. But hold on, you're not done yet. Properly closing out a project is a huge deal, and it has its own critical checklist. Finally, you've got your project closure activities. You have to verify that everything that was built actually matches what the contract demanded. You have to make sure every last penny is paid and every third-party contract is officially closed. But it's also about the future. You have to document all the lessons learned, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so you don't make the same mistakes twice. And last, but definitely not least, you have to recognize and celebrate the team that pulled it off. That part's crucial. So in the end, that thick, boring-looking legal document is so much more than just ink on paper, isn't it? It's the project's rulebook. It's the project's true blueprint. And at its heart, it is the promise that everyone made to each other from the very beginning. So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you're staring up at some massive skyscraper or driving across an incredible new bridge, are you just going to see the steel and the glass? Or are you maybe going to see something a little deeper? That invisible web of promises, rules, and agreements that's really holding the whole thing up.